My name is Marilyn Stewart. You can call me Mrs. Stewart or you can call me Marilyn. I answer to both. And what I do is I run a rescue for homeless dogs. It's called Alpha Canine Sanctuary. Been there 24 years. In the time we've been there, we've taken in several thousand homeless dogs and either found homes for them, adopted them out after we spay or neuter them, or they can live there for life. So they kind of got it made. It's just a little bit of a dent in the problem that we have in Kern County because we have a lot of dog overpopulation. You guys are here probably because you like animals and you care about animals, and some of you may know as much or more than I do. I invite questions, anything I say, if you want to ask or add something, I'm good with that. Are all of you dog owners or pet owners? Just to give me a feel for what you're. Pretty much, pretty close, or you have some interest. Okay, that's fine. Well, there's a lot of pets you can have, a lot of different kinds. My personal favorite, of course, is dogs. And one of the main things you have to do before you have a dog, and I'm going to respect that you have the animals and not spend a lot of time on food and water because you're ahead of me there. But what you have to do is know you have a safe place. You've got to have a place where the dog is legal. Sometimes when you're renting, you have to have something in writing from your landlord. Hi. Certain breeds, if you are a dog owner and you're a renter, certain breeds will usually be turned away. As one of my favorite breeds is pit bulls. I've had many pit bulls. I have one myself now. But you can't always have them when you're renting. You've got to get that worked out before you move in someplace. You have to have them off the street. They have to be contained one way or another. And by the way, there are laws now that provide a break for the dog because you really can't chain them 24/7 anymore. That's just not humane anyway. You're stuck out there. It's kind of like you would feel if you were stuck on a chain under a tree if you're lucky. You can't do that. You can tie them up briefly, but you can't do that. You've got to have a fence or have them in the house, which is a good place anyway. You're pack animals. We're pack animals. Nobody wants to live alone around here. Not for long. We just want our downtime, but we want to get back to people. Well, they do too. Best place for a dog for protection is not out in the yard because that dog can be stolen, shot, poisoned. I'm not saying that they're not good protection out there, but the best place if you want protection is in your house. Boy, is somebody going to think twice if they hear a dog barking behind that door or inside that window. Even a little dog, that's as good as anything else, and it's usually not lethal and won't get you in trouble. So consider that because the dog will be happier and you will be safer and probably happier. One of the biggest things I deal with, because I take in homeless dogs and dogs that are about to become homeless, is when people move. They live someplace, maybe they live with their folks, they live with friends, they live somewhere where a dog is permitted, and then they have to move, or they want to move. And they have a really tough time finding a place that will take the dog. And then they're thinking, okay, what will I do? And especially if you get evicted or you lose your home, where's the dog gonna go? Because we have a 100-dog limit. We're full all the time, and get phone calls, many every day, people asking to turn in dogs, either their own or just dogs they find on the street. One situation that I'm going to be doing pretty soon, I don't normally take dogs from owners. I'm making suggestions on how they can find a home, but it's an elderly person with some sort of dementia. She has a couple of Chihuahuas. She has some kind of housing where she gets most of her rent paid somehow, but she has 7 Chihuahuas. And her landlord said, you can't have 7 Chihuahuas, so I'm going to take 2 of them. That's the other thing. You have to be sure that you, as much as you love animals and your heart is big, don't take in more than you can handle, because one day animal control may be knocking on your door and say, look, you can't do this because the neighbors are complaining. And most of the time animal control is your friend.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, bless you. And so you want to kind of have a plan. If you're just sort of somewhere right now and you're not any place and you know you're going to be for a while, maybe you should wait. If you don't already have a dog, maybe you should wait. And if you just gotta have that doggy fix, you can go volunteer at the shelter. Animal control shelters are always full. They really welcome volunteers to help, and they don't necessarily just have you cleaning up poop and all that good stuff. You can also love on the dogs. So that may be just a way to get your doggy fix or your animal fix without actually owning one. One of the things to think about when you plan to get a dog, and it doesn't just happen, is you're going to have some money put out for health expenses. At least you should. Now the law says that dog has to have a rabies shot, period. And they'll come after you if you don't have it sometimes. And then when you get the rabies shot, you're going to have to license that dog, it's a good thing. But if you have that dog spayed or neutered, it's almost nothing. It costs almost nothing to license that dog. If you haven't had the dog spayed or neutered, and I know that's expensive, then you're going to pay a little bit. Parvo and distemper are pretty common. They're both deadly diseases. The shots are not terribly expensive. It's really worth your while to get that. On the rabies shots and the spay-neuter. Spay-neuter is expensive, but you can get it done for very little, sometimes even free. There's a place in town called Critters Without Litters. It's a spay-neuter clinic where a vet will charge several $100s. They might charge you probably under $100. And then if you can get what we call vouchers, which is like cutting a coupon out of the newspaper, you can get from a couple different places. You can get by with just $5, $10, $20 sometimes. It's well worth it. Better for you, better for them. They're going to be happier and healthier. You're going to be happier and healthier. And your licensing will be next to nothing. Because you don't want to have to be looking over your shoulder because your dog's not licensed or that you're doing anything wrong. You want to be safe. You want to know that dog's going to be safe because you love that dog. Then I know I'm rattling along pretty fast, but do you guys have any questions at all or comments of your own or something you think I've said that maybe should be elaborated on or corrected?
I have a question.
Yes.
About your preference. Do you prefer smaller dogs or do you like big dogs?
My personal preference is
Or do you just like
big
all
mids.
dogs?
I kind of like all dogs. Because I live in the country, it's not really safe for me to have little dogs because if they go out in the backyard, we have hawks and eagles out there. And believe me, a little dog can just disappear off into the sky, and that would be about the worst thing that could possibly happen. My personal preference would be something mid-size. I like pit bulls a lot. I like Queenslands. I like mixed breeds as well as anything, sometimes better than most. They tend to be more stable. I would never buy a purebred. I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking the responsible breeders, but I am knocking the puppy mill breeders. As far as pet overpopulation, that's why I started Alpha Canine, because I became aware all those years ago of what's going on in the animal control shelters, which is not their fault. They're actually very good people, loving people. But it's the citizens who aren't, it's us, or it's the citizens who don't get their dogs spayed or neutered and they let their dogs spay or neuter, or maybe they've got a male and a female and they're just breeding constantly. And there's no place to put those dogs. You say, like, oh, my puppies are so cute. No one would ever put my dog to sleep. Everyone will want my puppies. No, they won't. Not when there's 20 more to take their place. So that's why we had thousands of animals being killed every year for no good reason. So I started this sanctuary to help. And I also started being a real rabble rouser and trying to get people to spay neuter and be responsible and help the right thing. So, what do I have, competition? Let me listen, maybe I'll like it better than what I'm saying.
That happens to be a dog video.
As far as training is concerned, every dog gotta have a little bit of training. They have to know you need to be their pack leader. And you need to be a strong, loving pack leader. They don't ever train with punishment, you know. If you want the dog to be house trained, train him with praise. Then it's the same with people. You educate them and train them with praise and kindness, and they will respect you because you deserve respect. If you're unkind to a person or an animal, they may fear you, but that's not the same as respect, and it sure isn't love. And what you want is a loving relationship. So think about that. You don't necessarily need a professional trainer, but you do have to have a dog that won't take off. You've got to have a dog that'll stick by you if you need to, because that'll keep him from running into traffic. He's stopping. And check and see if there's anything that I'm leaving out that I really, really, really want to say. Well, I'm kind of skimming through this. If you have dogs already, you're feeding them something. If you can, get them the best. They can have some human food. Whatever you do, don't ever, ever, ever give them chocolate. There are several things that will kill a dog. Chocolate is one of them. So that's for us, not for them, ever. Get the best food you can. Even a cheap food is better than no food. Always plenty of water, of course. With food, if you can get grain-free, would be best, because they don't need grain. Down through the millions of years, they eat meat and they eat grass. So steak and salad, good diet. Grain, if you can avoid it, fine. If you can't, it still beats having an empty belly. Well, I want some direction on this. I've run through the basics, and you guys know quite a bit here. What do you want to contribute or ask?
Did you cover grooming already?
That's a really good point, yeah, because my dogs have to be wash and wear, because I'm not in the country. But yeah, poodles and all kinds of dogs that need grooming, that can be life-threatening. That's a very good point. And some groomers charge more than others, but just to get a basic, for a poodle, I guess you'd call it a kennel cut, it's not that much. But it has to be, because we've taken in dogs off the streets, the kind that you should have groomed, and their hair has grown so long and matted that their back legs are stuck together. Yeah, we have to have a groomer come in and detach that, and they have sores underneath. So that's an extremely good point. And I didn't even have that here, so I'm really glad you brought that up.
I had it happen to my Pomeranian.
Oh. If you have a choice with a dog and you're going to be short on money, don't get one that needs to be groomed. Get a short-haired dog. Oh. Anything else? You got any more tidbits? That was good.
I have a question.
Yes.
In your opinion for what you do, would you say that a dog could be rehabilitated after they've been traumatized?
Almost always. Almost always. Have to be very careful, depending on what the trauma was and who it came from.
When I was little, we had two dogs, but the one dog, she jumped over the fence and she went into the neighbor's backyard, and they had 4 pit bulls back there, and they attacked her pretty much and traumatized her. And by the time my dad brought her back home, she was just she was mean to everybody, and she was scared, and she didn't so my dad ended up taking her away, or getting rid of her. And I just felt like she could have been, helped.
She probably could have, in a lot of time, been rehabbed. Yeah, and sometimes if you're in a situation where there's kids around and you can't monitor the situation all the time, and it may be life-threatening for a human, then sometimes you got to make the tough choices. But we've had dogs come out that have been horribly traumatized, and take a lot of time with them. And instead of expecting them to meet our expectations, what we try to do is meet them where they are. So all that matters is where they are. Maybe that means you give them 6 months of don't try to touch them, just feed them and water them. But they get curious and they see, because we keep the dogs in a great situation. we have 20 acres, so we can have big open chain link runs with one dog or two dogs do a run. And they can see dogs all around them, and they can see off to the mountains. And it's relaxing, and it's healing. It's very good. They can see us interacting with other dogs, and they're smart. They think, okay, gee, somebody might be nice. And they'll tell you. They'll tell you when they're ready. But that's it's kind of unfair in a way, because the dog is at the mercy of humans, which it has to be that way. There's nothing getting around that. But sometimes they don't all get the chance they deserve. Anybody else? I've got two good ones now.
Okay. What's the how many dogs is a person allowed to have, like county versus country?
You mean,
How many dogs can a person have at one time?
oh, I see. In the city limits, you can have 3. And that's Bakersfield city limits. Outside of that, really in county, even in Oildale, there really aren't any limits as long as there's no complaints. They try to set limits. I'm not a fan of limits, but you can't be living next door to somebody with 20 dogs either. So it does sort of make sense. Like the lady I just mentioned, I'm going to take the 2 Chihuahuas because she's going to lose her subsidized housing if she doesn't put it down. She has 7. The Chihuahuas are like cats, but even so, no insult to the Chihuahuas or cats, I like that. But the lab, okay, you can't have that many. Well, for her, that's too many. So someone else can handle 7. Where I live, myself personally, where I have a big backyard and a big front yard and doggy doors on both sides, I can have 10 dogs. It wouldn't be too many. I don't, but I could. Any other questions at all?
What about getting dogs to be nice to each other? Like say I have a dog and my brother has a dog and we're trying to get them to live in the same house and be nice with each other friendly. How would you go about that?
It's not the easiest thing, actually. It's easier with us with the rescue dogs where they're in runs side by side and they can get used to it. Maybe you'll get somebody who's really scared of other dogs, but he's close to a dog with 2 fences between him, and he can become relaxed around that dog and probably finally move together. In a house, it's a lot harder. There's sometimes you can't make it work. Most of the time you can. You may have to, anytime you're not, how big are the dogs?
Well, there's a pit and then my husky mix.
So they're good-sized dogs.
Yeah.
If they get in a fight inside the house, you've got something going on.
So far they've been pretty good about it, but I mean they're just more oh, I like to be the bigger dog. And
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And that's normal for them. Question for you, are they spayed or neutered?
Yes, they're neutered.
Great. Are they both male or both female?
There's
Mixed.
there's 2 males and then there's a female.
Let me guess, it's the 2 males that
Kinda, it's more of the male and the female that get more into it because they're both younger.
Yeah, it is personality that somebody wants to be dominant real bad. And then, in the canine world, we can say to whoever we're living with, okay, well, we've got a partnership here, right? In the canine world, they don't really think that way.
I think it's just because they're more closer in age than the other dog.
That can make a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
The 2 that are clashing, how old are they?
I think they're mine is 3 and then his is 2, I believe.
Well, I wouldn't want to say it's not possible. I would just watch out very carefully and just have a plan, if they really go at it in the house. You want to make sure. I have scars from my own dogs because I've experimented through the years and have had my own dogs, and didn't have that many, 3 or 4, but a couple of females who go at it. And I have scars breaking up the fight. They didn't mean to bite me. They love me like I love them.
Right.
But they get in the heat of battle and they don't think. They don't think at all. You gotta be careful of that.
usually the best thing is to take all the dogs to an unknown area to them.
Mm,
That way
yes.
they won't be territorial. and then they could actually meet with each other without the whole "this is my space."
Right.
in their
That's
mind.
yes, excellent. Because when somebody who has a dog comes out and they want to adopt another, we have space where they meet on neutral turf.
Yeah.
We take the one out of the run and we visit, yeah. When you're living long term, which I think is that all what you're talking about too?
Kind of. He actually is gone to Sacramento, and he's planning on taking in the dogs too. Just so we have them right now because it's like getting into the moving process.
Right,
So I mean, he's planning on taking them. It's just like for now.
exactly. No separation, you can't beat separation. One in one room or one outside or one in and change back and forth or whatever. Because if you're in the kitchen and they're going at it under your feet, it's not the best feeling.
Luckily, she's not an aggressive dog, though. Neither is he. But I mean,
No, it's just you have a personality clash, and it is a dominance thing. Somebody wants to be the boss, nobody's willing to back off. And I don't know that there are any perfect answers. Her answer is great when you're meeting, or if it's just going to be a short time. That's the answer. And then for long term, you may just have to work something out. Are they house dogs or outside?
yeah, they're a house dog.
Okay. Is there a place to keep? Is there a place where you can have? Would they do that in your presence?
No.
Okay. So when you're not present, it might be necessary to one in one room, one in another.
Well, right now, because my dog, he normally stays with me in my room when I'm there, and like even sometimes when I'm not there, he's with my sister, and then his dog's there with my mom's room right now. So I mean, she just does that because I mean he thinks it's better for them.
Okay. That's not easy. It's not easy when you've got a lot at stake in keeping these animals together, but you can't let them kill each other or hurt each other. Vet bills can be real expensive. I mean, if you get involved, or some kid, God help us if some kid gets involved, or if you get involved and you get bitten, and the doctor that you see, if it's that bad, has to report it, and then your dog may get, somebody's dog may get the lifetime name of being a biter or a potentially dangerous dog. So you have to watch out. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but you have to watch out to protect them from that and to protect them from themselves in a way. Because you don't want to have a dog labeled a dangerous dog or even a potentially dangerous dog, because that really limits where you can live and where you can be and what you can do.
Right.
So there's that to think about. So you're very wise to be thinking about this. It sounds like you have a pretty good handle on it.
I mean, they're pretty good so far. It's just like if there is anything else that I could do.
I don't know. Something will trigger it, some tension, something. It's just, it comes out of nowhere, just like it does with people.
Right.
Well, I'm in a bad mood today. I think I'm going to beat up on 50 or whatever. But, I'm going to be your boss, and this will be the day that it happens. And so, yeah, you just have to be hyper alert, and maybe even more careful than you think you need to be. But you're really on top of it because you're aware. A lot of times people aren't aware, and that's when you run into trouble. Good questions. Anybody have any questions? You guys have great questions. I should have let you read them. Anything? Anybody?
Maybe like, how can you stop your dog from trying to be dominant over other dogs? Because I have a little Chihuahua, and he likes to bully our pit bulls.
How funny. How funny. And that just kind of shows you the general sweetness of pets.
Yeah, they don't do anything back. Like, he'll snap at them every time they get close to his food bowl. In fact, he'll even try to dominate both the food bowls because they have their separate food
Isn't that
bowls.
something?
So.
It's really kind of typical of a Chihuahua, as you know, if you know. And a pit bull just usually wants to get along. But that's a good dog, and it kind of sounds like a typical Chihuahua.
Yeah.
He's very
They're
nice too.
adorable, but they're not for everybody. You,
Yeah.
obviously, you have the patience and the know-how,
Oh yeah. He's
but it
very
wouldn't
nice.
work out for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys are good, I can call it a day. How long do you normally have this class?
About this long. No, I'm just kidding.
But sometimes 30
It be
minutes
short
an hour.
sometimes, but then it's
About
they say
about
it's
30
supposed to be
minutes an hour.
45.
I don't even know how long I've been talking, about 30 minutes? Or we have been
It'd
talking.
be cool if they could like bring some dogs. And
Yeah,
I was about to
yeah.
bring
You know, I
mine.
kind of thought of that, and I thought, well, I didn't ask first, so
Mhm.
I did not.
They said I could bring mine, but he sheds everywhere, and I can't do that to this place.
And my dogs too.
Oh, I don't know. Which one did you bring?
The Chihuahua. He's friendly with people. It's just don't get near his food bowl. That's all.
Are you
it is.
on?
Yeah, you know, because they're little, they don't have any defenses, so they're prickly, the little ones. The big ones tend to be more easygoing because they know they have a defense.
I know.
They will lie down on the dog, you know.
My sister has a Scottish Terrier and he bullies my dog, and my dog's a husky mix. So his little one is always bullying the bigger one, so he wouldn't like get near his bowl. And my dog just like lays there, just looking at him like, really, this is really what you're doing right now?
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty typical.
Work, mommy, work.
Well, I think that may be pretty much all I have. These guys are great. They're,
I know, it's pretty good. Thank you. Appreciate you coming out.
yeah, I've enjoyed you guys. You give me hope for the future. Let me put it that way. It's in good hands as far as the animals are concerned. All right. Well, I'll head on out if you're good with that.
You guys are good? Any questions? You guys?
I have one more.
Well, they're very knowledgeable.